Let's talk a little bit about the issue of the immigrant contribution to the economy. And here, without necessarily making a distinction between immigrants who are here legally and those who are not, but what can you tell us about the impact that immigrants have on the economic life, as in either its growth or its stagnation? What can you tell us?
It's no secret. New York State is a vital place and remains a vital place because of the influx of different waves of immigrants throughout its history. I can point, for example, to some places upstate where towns would be basically dead were it not for the influx of immigrants. We're talking, for example, the areas of Buffalo, Utica, and that is why those places have been designated as ports of entry for many refugee resettlement programs. So it's not a happenstance and it's not a favor, it's a mutually beneficial relationship. And so that, for example, is one way in which immigrants are helping New York State remain a vital place to live and a vital economy. Immigrants account for over 20% of the state's gross domestic product. So it's a big chunk of money, and so it is not. We're not talking charity here, we're talking economics, just realistic numbers and real numbers that are important for the state to remain moving. And so I want us, one of my goals is really to start thinking about immigrant workers not only with the traditional definitions of what is an immigrant or the skill set that an immigrant brings. One thing that we've seen throughout our work in the Bureau is that, of course, we still have our blue-collar workers, our low-skilled workers, our low-wage earners, but a large segment of this population is really your white-collar worker, your immigrant student who wants to remain here and wants to translate their degrees and professional experience into something that's relevant for this market. The professional that comes later in life and really wants to find a niche where you don't have a doctor being a cab driver, but you have a doctor that finds a way to perhaps not be a doctor, but be in the medical field somehow. So those are the connections that we're trying to establish. And if we have a minute, I'll tell you about a new program that we have to do that.
Go for it.
Yes, we are launching, together with our Employment Services Division at the Department of Labor, a pilot program in our one-stop centers throughout the state. The one-stop centers are local offices that offer employment services, as I was saying before, how to prepare your resume, how to go to an interview. And in 7 locations where we've identified we're seeing a lot of immigrant workers, we have hired employment counselors that will be specializing in working with this population, with the immigrant workers throughout the state.
Can you name the 7?
Yes.
Please.
I will. We were talking about upstate, so we're having one in Syracuse and one in Buffalo that will serve the area, the region. But we will also have 3 in New York City, one of them in Brooklyn, one in Queens, and one in the Bronx. But those will work with Manhattan, Staten Island, and the whole city, the city as a whole. And then we have one in Westchester and one in Long Island. The program is launching right now. We've just made those hires.
Are all 7 actually up and running?
They started this week, so they're very timely, this interview.
That's the week of April 16th.
Exactly, yes.
Week, right.
Mid-April, yes. And so the idea is that these employment counselors will have several core functions. One of them, of course, they'll be employment counselors like all of our employment counselors that are able to sit down with a person, give them certain tests, assess their skill sets, recommend career paths for them, connect them to jobs. But we want them to go beyond that. These people will also work with our communities directly, doing outreach through community-based organizations, through faith-based organizations, through perhaps elected officials, anyone who's already in these communities and knows how to best approach these workers to attract them to our offices. And finally, we want to see them also as a sort of ombudsman policymaker, where they will be in charge of identifying areas of need and helping us translate those to solutions system-wide. And in order to do that, they'll be working with the rest of the staff at the Department of Labor, training them in what they've learned, in how to work with these communities in a more effective way. And I think the Department of Labor is really being very introspective and willing to evolve with the times and really ensure that our New York State's workforce remains vital and that we remain a relevant resource for workers throughout the state.